Hey guys, welcome to Backwoods Brothers with my man
Tony.
And I'm Joel, and we are here for yet another fun episode to talk about can Elon save Twitter?
Wow. Can Elon save Twitter? I love that thumbnail. Jump right into it, bro.
Oh, yeah. Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about like a short background on Elon, kind of where he came from and everything.
Where did he come from? Okay, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it in a second, yeah. What led up to buying
his
Twitter?
mother's womb. Anyway.
Really? So, short background on Elon. What led up to Elon buying Twitter? The anti-Elon minions. I love it.
And there are a lot of them.
And
CNN,
what are the plans? What are the plans Elon has for Twitter?
Yes.
Those are the things we're talking about today.
Yes, we are.
Yep. And it's really throwing me off is we don't have our little special TV in front of us.
No, we were just talking about that. We had it for our New Year's show this last New Year's, and it went out on us tonight. But it just adds a certain personal touch to our show, though. I get to actually look at you again and say, you know what? I'm so glad you're my bestie.
Stare at the TV still, just because.
He's staring into the abyss of nothingness. Join us. Hey, guys, we always see you on our podcast. We always see you on Facebook interacting with our posts. And it's been really, 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 really good to see all the activity. So Middle America and North and South, Florida and Texas and all the other exorcists, whatever you want to call it. We're glad, whatever that was. We're glad that you are here to join us tonight.
Hey, I hear all the exes live in Texas.
All the exes live in Texas. Yeah.
So that's where people hang their head in Tennessee.
Yeah. Hey, Elon Musk is a pretty smart guy. Can I start out by a quote he said?
Sure.
Elon Musk, and I didn't even know who he was before he purchased Twitter, but Elon Musk said this. Is someone you don't like allowed to say something you don't like? That is free speech. I thought that was pretty right on point because there's 100 people that don't like us, but there's even more that do. But there's a lot of people that don't like us, but they have their freedom. We won't say we won't like them because we don't know who they are. But there's a lot of people that don't like us, but they have the freedom to express how they feel. That's freedom. And it's interesting how the far left censor people that speak like they're trying to censor Ron DeSantis,
Oh, exactly.
Anybody that shares their view, they consider it hate speech and other speech, and that's their buzzword for censorship.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting the contradiction there.
Exactly. And I think we're going to get a little more into that when we talk about what kind of led him to buying Twitter.
I'm sorry. I got to figure out who he is first then, right?
Exactly.
Is that what you're telling me?
Not at all. There's no hints there. But we do want to talk about it because that's actually kind of a big chunk that led to him buying Twitter.
Yeah.
But to really understand what kind of led to that, we really want to know. Most people don't know everything about Elon Musk. Like, for example, he's the richest African American in the world.
The richest African. I'm not going to put it in quotes. I'm actually going to say, blow it up. The African American. He's actually African and he's American.
Exactly. And on top of that, he's the richest man in the world. So the richest man in the world is African American.
Is African American.
Exactly.
So, by the way, and black folks, we know this. There are Africans and then there are Americans who are black. Totally different cultures, people.
Well, yes, but why is he an African American? Let's talk about that.
Because he was born in Africa.
Yeah, he was born in South Africa.
South Africa.
Exactly.
Beautiful country.
Oh,
coast at least.
He was born with a golden spoon in his mouth and had billions of dollars to start off. And oh wait,
is that the false narrative that we're putting?
Yeah, exactly.
We're putting out a false narrative.
He came from money. No, he had nothing.
He had nothing.
He had diddly shit.
Yep.
And then he followed the American dream. He legally immigrated to America.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he came here, he started working his way up. He started going to school, educating himself, started building and getting into the business world, learning about that. But when he saw problems, he, instead of just complaining about them, he found and worked and built a solution to it.
That's kind of a leader, right?
Exactly.
I always tell leaders, don't give me a complaint without giving me at least three different solutions.
Exactly. That's not just a good leader. That's just a good moral value. And don't come complaining about it unless you have a solution to fix it.
Yep.
So, and that's what's wrong with the world today. Everybody wants to bitch and moan about everything, but no one wants to actually bring a soluble solution.
Not only bitch and moan, but I'm a victim, so therefore, and you guys know how I feel
Oh,
about that. I'm a victim, so you solve my problem for me
exactly. Well, and some.
because of what you did to me 400 years ago.
Oh yeah, but here's the problem: is that, like I
Even
said,
though I'm fortunate, not
so,
400 years old.
I had said a key word there. I want to point out:
Yeah.
a soluble solution.
Soluble.
Means that it has to be tangible, quantitative. It has to actually have something that you can actually do.
Quantitative.
Sorry, try harder is not a solution. And when some public leaders say, "Hey, let's just try harder," I'm sorry, that's I'm sorry, the dumbest answer I've heard in a long time. And so the right answer
You're going to
is
take me on a bunny trail, a local bunny trail, by the way. Okay,
that's
what you're going to do to me tonight.
Exactly.
Anyways, that's a local issue.
Well, I mean, not just that. I mean, there's been other leaders too that have said stuff like that too. But yeah, so getting back into what he was trying to into me there the same way. He came out and he actually, like, the first big thing he saw that really kind of hit off and is still around today is that he wanted a different way to pay for things online. So he actually started PayPal. And I'm about to sneeze. Yeah, right there. But he started PayPal.
Which I've never used PayPal. Is it?
Oh, PayPal is great. We do use PayPal. We use PayPal in our own company here in Backwoods Brothers Production.
But the convenience of that is what?
Is it you can do a couple different things. One,
because he's far ahead of his time. He's a forward thinker, and that's one of his claims to fame. Bless you.
Yeah, exactly. He's a forward thinker, and what made that so ahead of its time is people were having to use their credit cards online, and what PayPal did is remove that need to do that. They became the third party in between, so that you could make transactions. So like I could make a safe transaction to you, and vice versa. Anyone could basically go on and use, like, eBay was a good way for eBay. That's what that kind of came into. And then also it became a way for small businesses to kind of work with stuff online. There's a whole slew of things they grew into, but the main piece was to
so he started out his career
safe
online.
third party, yeah.
A safe third party.
Yeah, he did other things as well, but these are the key notable ones. And then he said, there's electric cars. I really want to try to change the world and reduce emissions. So instead of going and trying to blow money on shit that doesn't work, or to bitch and moan about it, or yell at people about, how dare you, or whatever bullshit like that. He goes, I think electric cars are going to work, so I'm going to try to solve this. And he went and designed and built Tesla. And Tesla's been greatly successful.
Greatly successful.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing he says, I want to get to Mars. I want to see if we can actually live on Mars.
Yeah.
And obviously NASA, being a government-run agency, is completely useless. They do some cool things, sure, but they're getting anywhere should take about 1,000 times longer. And so he started SpaceX and started working towards he's working towards putting people on Mars. He's done some. I think you can do if you have much money, you can buy a flight on a rocket. But the other thing, the second part of that is he believes in free communication. He believes in open free speech and doesn't want that hindered. He thinks that's like a human right, is free speech.
Is there, and you see it on the news, and you see it in writings, is there for him to create this space for free speech, is there a profit that he's going to get from that will boost his other businesses?
He's a businessman, so I would assume he's going to make a profit. I mean, that's what a businessman does. They don't just make investments for no reason. They do make investments to make profits. But at the same time, it's an investment. It's a risk. He could be potentially putting a risk in to make money, but at the same time, he has a belief behind it that makes him passionate to do it. He could have put his money into a million other things, but he saw an opportunity to open up free speech. But yes, he will make money on it. There's nothing wrong with making money, but at the same time, protecting rights or to doing something positive. There's nothing wrong with that. If you can do both, then you're smarter than the average Joe to be able to do good in the world and make money at it. So, but what led to that kind of shows his background is he's a free thinker, but also he puts his money where his mouth is too. He says he wants free speech. He quite literally put his money where his mouth is. Same with when it comes down to opening up the internet for the world. He's actually put out the Starlink, I think is what it's called, the internet. And he even, like I said, he didn't put his money where his mouth is. He shot a whole bunch of satellites up above Ukraine so they could get internet down there, so they weren't cut off like Russia cut them off. And to show that even more to where his mind is, he was told, you better censor and stop input of Russia information into Ukraine. He said no. He said I would sooner have someone put a gun to my head than to censor free speech. but that goes to the extent that he's a free thinker and he means what he says. And even when he went even further by putting $44 billion,
44 billion.
yeah, 25 which of his own money, his own out of his own pocketbook, not raised. The rest was raised. When I say raised, he basically when he got funding from an extra capital company, capital venture company, and he bought out to privatize Twitter, and that should close in about 6 months. But that shows the background behind why he went there. Or at least gotten to the point. Now, we're gonna talk more about the more intricate steps that led specifically to Twitter. But that was kind of the overall encompassing background that kind of got him to the free speech piece.
Yeah. Well, that happened to be a troubled social media outlet anyway.
Oh, yeah, very much.
Yeah. So that's what got him there.
By the way, someone answered a question right off the bat when we said, "Can Elon save Twitter?" They said, "I believe we can save Twitter and dox the liberals because the liberals dox us and attacked us for a long time."
Yes. And another viewer said, "I think he migrated to Canada at the age of 17. Actually, didn't a lot of Dems say they were going to go to Canada? And while he was waiting for his migration status, he went to college in Africa for a few months. Wow. To differ from military employment, which would have hindered his immigration."
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know all those very specific, intricate details, and I kind of summed it up. So,
but if this viewer is correct on this, and guys, we always say this: check these sources out. But someone knows this. It falls in line with who he is.
Exactly.
He's a mover and shaker.
Exactly.
He's a forward thinker. I can see him laying up in bed at night, going, "What else can I do?" Kind of person.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he's a dreamer, but he's a
dreamer. But he puts his money where his mouth is. Like
exactly, and most dreamers, they dream and they may put it there, but they don't always get that dream to reality.
Right.
And so, and what is the land of America? Land is supposed to be a land of dreamers.
It's supposed to be a land of opportunity.
Land of opportunity.
Dreamers.
Yeah, yes. Dreamers, and the opportunity to make those dreams come true. Yeah. Most people choose not to, but or their dreams aren't as grandiose. But it's an opportunity where you're only limited by your own capacity.
That's it. Despite everything that said, you have an opportunity. I have an opportunity to become who we'd like to become. Yeah. And it might not look like yours.
Exactly. Everybody's opportunity will be and look differently, and everybody's gonna have their different barriers in the way. Yeah. But everybody has barriers.
Yes.
And the barriers may not look the same and may not be as easy to identify, and some of them are harder to identify from the outside, from an objective view. There may be more of a subjective barrier, but it's still a barrier. But we all have our barriers. We can't solve every barrier in the world.
I love how Elon got into this knowing that there's going to be a lot of opposition, but yet he knew the opportunity he had. He knew the opposition, and he even went back to the top and close out this section a little bit with this. Again, is someone you don't like allowed to say something you don't like and still have the freedom to say it?
Exactly, and that is...
It didn't shake him.
That is something that's core to his value, and you've shown that in his previous actions before the Twitter thing ever came to pass.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about who Elon was and what he came from, and but one thing about Elon is he definitely likes to get the word out there, and he really...
Can he make a sign though?
Oh yeah, he definitely can make a sign. And sometimes I think that he wants the absolute best of what he does, and who is not better than Whitney Signs right here locally.
Elon Musk, Whitney Signs, okay?
Yeah,
we're just putting those
two
together.
Exactly. Okay. And I would be surprised if maybe he's ordered from them and they just don't know it, or maybe they know it. I don't mean they're keeping.
You're a dreamer, aren't you?
Hey, you know what?
Hey, dreams can come true. One day.
One day. 1 million signs.
1 million signs. We're calling it out.
I'm sure they're going. That's a lot of work.
But they're dreamers too, and they welcome your business, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they make top notch stuff too.
Yes, they do.
Hey, just go and take a minute and take a look right here at this sponsor. Hey guys, we're back on again. So Take a minute, really do give them a call. They are absolutely just amazing people, and they work hard and they give good product.
Brother, they make signs, but also do they make hats? Because I noticed that you don't have yours on.
Really, I was hoping no one would notice. I was too busy. I was too busy running on getting stuff fixed.
You're so busy thinking about if Elon can actually say Twitter or not, right?
You're just lucky I'm wearing pants right now, man.
Wow. Back to Elon. We talked we talked about Elon, and you gave actually a really good background. Yes. Wah, 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 wah. You actually gave a good background about who this forward thinker, innovator, and puts his money where his mouth is type of guy, how he came to purchase Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, there's things about the guy that I don't always agree with on everything he does.
Of course.
But I mean, he's definitely a motivation and people should look up for motivation to what you can get to from nothing if you have the drive and the desire to work for it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a last segment comment, but I wanted to draw a little bit of attention to it. But actually, brother, I'm not there yet. Do you think you can switch back to that?
Yeah, you talk about the unfortunately you talk about you want to read the comment?
Yeah, please.
Unfortunately, the extremists on both sides will say negative things about Musk buying Twitter.
I love that this person said the extremists on both sides, but there are extremists, fringe people that are saying extreme things. I'm actually going to read them to you later on, but I think our next segment was what led him up to buying Twitter, but also we're going to talk a little bit about the freedom of speech and
sorry, Joel forgot his hat.
Just
try harder.
Just try. Wow. Just try harder. So freedom of speech, right?
Yeah, freedom of speech, exactly.
And something else there you said?
Yeah, I want to ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
Basically, this is what led up to buying Twitter, but freedom of speech, before we get into that piece of it, I really want to kind of curious if the audience can send in a quick description in their comments. What does freedom of speech mean to you? And I mean, we know what the Constitution says, so don't cop out and say the Constitution or what that says. Give us your description in your own words, please. What does freedom of speech mean to you?
Okay, and that would be good because what we're going to go into is talk about what the freedom of speech actually is to you, as well as what it really looks like to, I might get censored here, but what it looks like and what it should look like for social media outlets. Because I was reading something earlier today, the forefront, but just the last thing, Joel forgot your hat, but also someone said that Elon have been on a tweeting spree.
I think he's always tweeting, but maybe he's been putting a lot of stuff out there. Maybe he's trying to get them because he doesn't actually take over 6 months. So maybe he's trying to get them to cancel his account or something.
Oh, God.
That would be like the ultimate.
Oh my goodness! Wow! But this thing on freedom of speech. There was a question that I read last night, and it says here. Does the First Amendment apply to social media companies? And that's another question I'd like to put out to our viewers. Nadine Strassen, so that's Strossen, she's the professor of constitutional law, said this. I wonder what you guys think about it. But it says the First Amendment, free speech, guaranteed along with all the constitutional rights, only protects us against the government. So, if the government interferes in your freedom of speech, you can bring the First Amendment or a First Amendment lawsuit to challenge that. And then she goes on to say this. Facebook, Twitter, the other social media platforms are not the government. They are private sector entities, and therefore, they have no First Amendment obligation to protect our freedom of speech. To the contrary, they have their own First Amendment rights, their media rights. So, just as the New York Times, or she quotes here, CNN, who's dying, or any other traditional media platform has no obligation to host your particular message, the same is true for social media. In a nutshell, she says, do you have any constitutional First Amendment free speech rights on to air your views on any social media platforms? The answer, she says, is no.
Now, I have two parts of response to that.
Mhm.
First one is it's actually true. They are private. They're not government owned companies, and that does apply to government owned companies. But yet the government's also charged with making some laws to some degree. But there's the line of do you make a law that says hey, your company has to be run a certain way, do certain things, and some industries like the healthcare field and things like that can make sense. But where's that line drawn? That's the first kind of piece of it. The second piece
And
is
that's yeah.
the second piece is that, and you're saying it hit me on there a little bit, and I was trying to think on how to word it.
Mhm.
Just trying to think how to put this.
Okay.
There's a sense and point where the messages that are provided, because there's like the newspaper, for example, can't they have the certain laws and things that you can't just go and print out. Hey, go kill the president or something stupid like that. They can't do that.
Mhm.
That's illegal. In fact, I'm sure there's something might here come get popped up or something.
Yeah.
Don't do something like that, guys.
Right. Right.
But they can't print something like that, and so there are some things on there you can't yell fire in a crowded building.
Well, actually, so what you're saying is an actress last year, 2 years ago, when Trump was in office, presented a severed head of Trump, a depiction of a severed head of obviously of Trump, and I believe she received a lot of backlash from that,
Yeah,
as she should have.
there's poor taste and things like that, and don't, if you're going to say something, better be prepared to
Be
take
prepared for the
what
consequence.
comes out of it. But
Yeah.
the second thing is that information provided that is posted out there at the same time. There's a fine line is who actually truly owns that content. Is it the people that are posting and sharing the content, or is it the company that the content is posted on?
In my reading,
And
that was where the conflict was.
yeah, and but the thing is um and that's what it gets deep, and it gets really murky and really gray in there. And it's like, for example, we're hosting this on Facebook. We have our content shared out to YouTube, but the legal rights and the video content, the copyright content of that, it belongs to Backwoods Brothers.
Mhm.
They're hosting the content for us.
Mhm.
So
Their hosts.
those
Yeah.
words that are spoken, those words that are written, the copyright, the owner of those words, I would say falls to the people. So can they be taken and used and adjusted? Well, I think not without permission of the people, but the own it. They that have said those words or written those contents. But
Mhm.
to display them, to host them, to hold on to them or present them on a platform, I think that still falls into the right of that company. They are not obligated by law to allow you to post that on their thing. You can take those words and you can shout them, you can post them anywhere you want. So that's your free speech portion of it. But it's like saying we can't go down to Coin6 and say put my content on your
Mhm.
your TV station.
Yes.
We can't do that.
Yeah. You mean to tell me it's not a human right?
It's not a human right. It's a human right. It's a free speech portion.
The human right's a free speech portion.
Yeah, but not the portion of where I'm saying you have to take my
The
content.
comply.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, and I'm sure that some people may not like the way that it's going, but it's a truth, and I try to speak truth here, in my opinion on it.
Right.
Is that business is
We
not
try to tell the truth of Backwoods Brothers.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
try.
That business is not obligated to host your content.
Mhm.
But they have once it's hosted on there, or once if they allow it to be hosted on there,
Mhm.
they are obligated to allow it to remain as far as free speech. So the point where they're getting in there, where they're saying this is false, this is false information or things like that, where they're altering your content that you've chosen to put on there, that is where the line gets crossed.
Absolutely.
So the choice of either host it or don't host it, I think that's where that's a black and white. Yes, they legally don't have to host it. They don't have to have you on their platform. They can stop serving you.
Right.
But to take your content and alter it, to flag it, to add a warning, things like that, I think that is where the it gets into the wrong side of things.
It does.
And that's where they're
Because
altering
already branding,
your words.
they're altering your words.
Exactly.
They're putting a what do you call it? They're putting a not value statement. They're already putting a negative or branding.
Here's an example. I literally took a photo of something, and I forget what it was.
Uh-huh.
It was a little while ago.
Uh-huh.
and I posted it online. It was a physical photo I took with my own phone.
It was a private
And
photo or a photo of a
I forget what it was. I mean, it's kind of kill me here. I wish I could remember what it was.
Okay.
And I posted it online.
Okay.
And the reason I remember this is because I know I took the photo.
Yeah.
And I gave it a caption or title, said this is something, this is something about how this is dumb, or this reminds me of something, or along those lines. And I'm sure it's something like this reminds me of our stupid president, or something along those lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a fact checker put a thing over it and said this is false. Factual. This is not real information. I'm thinking, I physically took that photo. That information in that photo is right, and the words I put to it was, "This makes me think of." It was a subjective response, not an objective response. And so
you didn't
nothing
say
on there.
It made you think of.
Nothing on there was something that was fake. And I was very specific about that, especially because I went back and shocked me. So I went back and looked at it, and I tried to argue, and I sent them a message saying, "This is the photo that I took. This is my original photo, and I'm not saying this is anything that's not factual." So, and it just shows that's where they cross the line at. So, is the fact checking and things like that.
Well, to what you said made a lot of sense. What do our viewers think?
Yeah, let's take a look and see what they have to say. Computers, push the button.
I see it right here. There's a lot that you guys are weighing in on here. So let me go back up. You see it?
Yeah.
You just have to try harder. All I know.
The government.
Go ahead. You go.
The government are actually trying to limit the freedom of speech. Yeah, I know they've been trying to do that ever since. The leftists usually get in there.
Well, see, and that's a direct violation.
Well, do you understand the whole reason why they want to limit free speech? Free speech allows the freedom of exchange of ideas, and the freedom of exchange of ideas promotes independence and free thinking.
Absolutely.
And free thinking it allows those who are being under pressure, under control, allows them to resist that control.
It's a funnel of information.
It's exactly. So basically, freedom of speech is the core center that allows people to actually have freedom.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't, exactly. If you can't have the ability of free speech, you can't freely exchange ideas, you can't communicate, you can't begin to realize that the oppression that you're under is oppression.
Yes.
And there's another way.
Yes.
But once you get that information to you, then you begin to go, wait, I want freedom. I like freedom. I don't like being under pressure. I don't like this control. Those type of things. And then you begin to rebel against that.
But isn't that what the Democratic Party is about? Freedom of expression, freedom to be who you are, freedom.
Exactly. But it comes in the core of freedom of speech. Well, I think that was the first thing in the thing is freedom of speech.
Absolutely. Yes. Your words matter. Your words matter. You can express yourself through words and freedom. Someone says here, freedom of speech actually means you can speak your mind. There you go. And not get doxxed. I love that. Or shut down or silenced by the far left. And can have a civil debate without being blocked.
Yep. And I want to say something to that. I am definitely a conservative, and I love Trump. He did great things for the country, and I definitely have conservative values.
Where's the censor button here?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
I knew I was going to say that, so I broke the censor button earlier.
You broke it. You broke it.
They can't censor me.
It actually is broken.
It actually is broken.
I know. I realized that when I realized that earlier. I was going somewhere with that, and you broke me.
Did I break you? Well, let's read that again and see if it triggers something for you.
Oh yeah, it's not just the far left. I remember now. It's the far right too has done the same things, and I want to say far right. It's there's a 5% on each side. Well, maybe 10% on one side, 5% on the other.
Yeah.
The left is a little bit more crazier people, but there's a chunk on each side that are just way out there in freaking lalo cuckoo land. Mm-hmm. But there's a big chunk of people in the middle. And there's in that middle split, you have a chunk on the left in that middle that are have certain beliefs, and chunk on the right that have certain beliefs. But there's some crazy extremists that will try to censor, like, oh, you shouldn't have that on there, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, on both sides. And they don't realize that they're being just as bad as the other side.
Yeah, I never really heard you say on both sides before. I'm gonna have to remember this show.
Well, I'm just saying it's far. No. We're talking extreme rights. Viewers, tell me if you're wrong. I mean, have you ever met the crazy on both sides?
I met the crazy on both sides.
They televise the crazy on the left side. That's been pretty easy.
Yes.
But I'm sure you've met the crazy on the right,
brother. One of the viewers said the First Amendment only protects us from government, not from private companies. And that's actually the statement that was made.
Yep, exactly.
Earlier.
And it does. It does protect us because it's in the Constitution, and the Constitution is there to form and limit the government. By the way, the Constitution is there to form and limit the government.
The Constitution. Know your Constitution.
Know your Constitution.
Yes.
If you don't
Watch the
have
BS Project.
If you don't have a copy of the Constitution, go get one.
Do that again.
If I move this, I'm going to totally mess up Joel, but there it is, y'all.
Do that thing again. What you just said together. Do that again.
Okay.
Oh, well,
I messed it up. Y'all, I messed it up. Okay, so what was that again?
We the people.
We the people, but what was that we were supposed to repeat?
I don't know. It came in and it went.
It did. It did. Producer, say it again for us.
What the Constitution is supposed to do to the government. You guys said
the
it together.
Yeah, the Constitution is there to form and limit the government. Form and limit the government.
Yep. But when we try to change the Constitution to fit the narrative, then it doesn't do its job, does it?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead to the note, brother. You got it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, what about when the government uses social media and news organizations to filter our content and only allow certain points of view?
Absolutely.
Well, exactly my point. It's going to come back down to is they own the platform. They have the right in order to what they allow. Now, the point of what I should say there is it should come down to a black or white thing. They shouldn't block some of your content, not others. It should be, if they don't want you on the platform, they don't have to do business with you. That's their choice.
Mm-hmm.
But they should never alter your content, and they definitely shouldn't be picking and choosing what you can and can't show.
Yeah.
Either all or nothing. That's the type of thing it is. It really should be that way. You should make it cut and dry. Either let you on the platform and let you do your thing, or choose not to let you on the platform. Now, should common sense say and common courtesy say if they're not going to let you on the platform, should be a reason, like a good reason, like, hey, you were threatening to kill people or something like that. You were breaking the law somehow or something.
Yes.
Then yeah, that should be a reason why they kick you off a platform.
There should be an explanation, though.
There's no law saying they have to do that, and they have the choices to it. They just can't legally discriminate against you because they can't go, oh, Tony, you can't be on the platform because you're black.
Mm-hmm.
That's discrimination.
Actually, it's just the opposite. If I'm black, I can be. That you can't be on the platform because you're white.
Joel, you can't be on the platform because you're white. Either way, they can't do something like that.
No, true.
And so the law limits them in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
But they just have to. They could use this not to let you on the platform. That's like just like a restaurant can choose not to serve you. Mm-hmm. Of course, they try to cross those lines a little bit too.
Oh, you should hear.
That's a whole other conversation.
You should hear my next ridiculous. Here's another viewer that says kind of what you just said there, and I like the last part of this. It says, yes, the First Amendment does apply to the government intervention into your speech and does not apply to the private internet platforms. However, what happens when the internet company is doing the bidding of the government?
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. The hard part there is drawing the line between it, because if you can prove that, if there's actual evidentiary proof that you can do that, then guess what? Then the government's in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to get the government in trouble? The government has to get in trouble with the people.
Right.
But drawing that line is the hard part. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you can prove that they're doing the actual bidding of the government, then guess what? Yeah, they fall in that line.
Right. Well,
so that's why I like when someone has a government contract.
I don't think Elon Musk's Twitter is going to actually be.
He's not. Exactly. Why do you think the White House, only to the White House, had something to say about it?
Oh, I can't wait till we get to those comments.
Yes,
those are those little minion things that are happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. Read the next one.
As in the case of the government strongly suggesting that they need to control mis and disinformation. Strongly suggesting that's unfortunately, that's not a strong tie. That's a strongly suggesting. The government can strongly suggest I do a lot of things, and doesn't mean I'm going to do them. Mm-hmm. If there's a legally passed and constitutionally correct law, then yeah, I will abide by it. That's what I'm supposed to do as a citizen, is abide by the laws. But if there's an unconstitutional law, I mean, you make your own judgment there.
Yeah. The next viewer says, yep, that crazy guy with the Trump hat at the back of the blue rally, he was just an ass.
Well, yeah, and you skipped one. Actually, says that's what the Liberal Party used to be about. Uh-huh. It's not that. It's not that anymore.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, before. The interesting part about a Trump hat or the Back the Blue rally, there was the first time I met you was when you hosted a Back the Blue rally, and I had to walk downtown Estacada, and I walked right past this wonderful pizza place. This pizza place is so awesome. It's called the Hitchin Post. It's not only are they great people, but they have the owner has lived in Estacada for quite some time. She loves this this city. She's served the city with great pizza, and I wish I can just funnel the pizza all out to everybody around this nation. It's the best pizza in the nation. I'll watch out before. Well, I'm going to say it, and I want to show you.
How about they all just come here and visit, and then go stop by and get some pizza?
Visit.
Come
Okay?
visit.
Come
visit.
Come
It's
visit.
summertime.
Come visit, but we're gonna keep the pizza to ourselves after you visit. Okay,
come visit. You can come in. You stop by.
Come by and stop by.
You know, she has a good place to see too. Tell me about that.
She has a good place to seat. As a matter of fact, she has a big seating area with everything for the kids. My kid loves to go play down there. As a matter of fact, next door she has some pool tables and just a really cool atmosphere, a place you want to be, and cool employees, and they just really hook you up with some good stuff. Why don't you watch this?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, we like to talk during the break because it just gives us a chance to talk about how we want some pizza, Val. Anyways, hey, real fast, we run over a couple of things that we've already done already, just in case you're just joining us now.
Yeah, so we kind of started off with talking a little bit about Elon and his background, kind of where he came from, and we also talked a little bit about kind of what led up to buying Twitter. We didn't get to everything piece there. But we kind of give an idea of where the freedom of speech came through, and that's really what kind of motivated him to buy Twitter, was that freedom of speech piece, where he wanted people to feel like, he called it a town square, and he wanted it to be a true town square, not where people were being censored.
Yeah.
And what really kind of triggered that was when Babylon Bee got censored for something they had said.
Yes.
And that kind of triggered him at that point. He goes, hey, he made a joke about, hey, maybe I should buy Twitter. And then it wasn't very long after that he bought Twitter.
See, he meets a need of the people, right?
Exactly.
So, but it doesn't come without its opposition. And before we have lots of comments, keep them coming in. But I just got to put in some of what people are saying about him, because some of it's just ridiculous. Which you got to watch the ridiculous this week. I love talking about the ridiculous, but here's some ridiculous: MSNBC, ABC, CBS, ABCDEFG, and NBC spread fear over Elon Musk's Twitter deal, saying free speech of the straight white man is about to come. Free speech. And I'm going to read you some statistics that actually say that actually Twitter is largely Democrat. So,
Hey, you know what? Real quick, forget that. You know that free speech of the straight white man is just as okay as this free speech of everybody. So
it is.
So what's so scary about the fact that a straight white man gets free speech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what's so scary about that.
I know.
Okay, The View. I got it. He hates when I mention it. But okay, guys, if this lady was a Republican or conservative, I would like her. Her name is Sunny Hosted. She is awesome, other than the fact that she hosts some views. And she says some ridiculous things to be an educated lady. This is what she says. Co-host Sunny Hosted said that Musk has planned to unleash the trolls and tell them that he is going to take away the guardrails, literally take away the guardrails, so that they can say whatever the hell they want. She didn't say the hell, but whatever, she meant that. And then she says, it seems to me that it's about free speech of straight white men, and so let them have at it. So I'm telling you, being a straight white man that you are, have at it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
You know what? Anybody should have free speech as long as it's legal. Who cares? Who cares?
Yes.
And I've said this before. The minute you have to put something like a qualifier of white or black or anything or straight or male, you know, you put a qualifier on that, you're being discriminatory in one way or the other.
Whenever you put a qualifier on that, you're being discriminatory.
Now, let me say one caveat to that. If you're talking about like law enforcement trying to identify somebody, pick someone out of a crowd or anything, that makes sense at that particular point. But
Well, law enforcement's being censored too. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying that there's very rare times when that should actually fall into there, and it's a physical description of somebody for the purpose of picking them out of a crowd.
So when people make blanket statements like Sonny, and people make blanket statements like those, and there's far more, I want to read you some stats currently about Twitter, okay?
Okay.
Just real fast. American Twitter users are more likely to be Democrats than Republicans. Barack Obama, we all remember him, is the most followed person on Twitter with 130 million followers. Cristiano Ronaldo is the most followed sports personality on Twitter, and that was just a little bit of a throw-in. I don't know where I got that from, so just pretend like I never said it. And one more. CNN, breaking news, is the most followed news outlet on Twitter, which is, you know how that's going, with 61.3 million followers.
So I'm kind of curious when how CNN's going to report themselves when they go out of business.
Well, and well, the interesting thing is, though, she said this, right? I know she said it's going to be, but what it currently is not what she says it's going to be.
Well, exactly. Well, you know, there's.
I mean, she's predicting this.
You know, one
she
of
has a crystal ball that can see into the future.
Well, yeah, and you know what? All these people were freaking out and saying. I've seen some of these video clips and over the last week. It's been hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been freaking out, saying, "Oh my God, they're gonna put Trump back on Twitter, and he's gonna destroy the world. Godzilla's coming back, or whatever." Right? Trump goes, "I'm not coming back on Twitter. I'm staying on Truth."
I'm staying. That's a lot of news outlets are afraid that this is like a new outlet for him, as if.
Well, I'm kind of curious if that was
a new old outlet. For him.
That's what they were investing so much of themselves into, their fear, but they just dissipated that in like 5 seconds.
Yes.
So now they're scrambling to find something else to spread fear about.
Yeah.
You know, someone said on here, isn't there something in the terms of service that we have to be an adult or under the supervision of an adult to use these platforms? If so, then why is the platform censoring our speech and content?
That's a good question.
Okay.
Pocket copies of the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution are available. I love this, from the CATO Institute. To buy them, 30 at AA, time for $30.
I mean, I think I meant to say buy them at 30 at a time for $30.
At a time for $30.
Yeah, typo.
We read things literal around here.
Yes.
There you go.
So you can buy them. You can buy them at the AA. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh my God. That's a whole nother show.
Right now, the left feels that a middle-aged.
Wait. Go back again. Can you do that one more time? Oh, wait a minute. No, you probably can't. You better not.
The right now the left feels that a middle-aged straight white male is the biggest threat to democracy in America. Absolutely. This administration says quote, parents are domestic terrorists for going to school meetings.
Yeah.
Because you know all those straight white males are the ones out there burning down our cities and have the highest murder rates and are out there robbing all them places, and you know they're not out there building all the infrastructure, maintaining what the democracy right now. That's not them at all.
But if you look at BLM, if you look at their website, and they tried to modify it and go undercover about it, it is an attack on the straight white male, because it's an attack on the family, the nuclear family. It's attacked on men. It's attack on race. It's attack on blah blah blah. You know, BLM, I'm sorry, I put something out last week and I'm not apologizing for it. You know, I said I'm sorry. BLM is not a 501c3 or whatever you call them that you want to follow. Even though their marketing is brilliantly dumb. And when I say brilliantly, it's if you say Black Lives Don't Matter, you must be a racist. But if you say I am for the Black Lives Matters organization, you are definitely part of the accepted woke crowd. So even though, again, I want to pull out that they like housings, buy mansions better than they like
$6 million mansions.
Yeah, evidently their mission statement was they couldn't follow it, so they're into housing now. Whoever,
I still say we need to get about 1,000 1,000 black people to go and live in that mansion with.
I am not going. Okay. We
serious.
should
That's what they're there for. That's what it says right there. These
Where
are
does
bought
it say
for
it?
their safety, right? Let's go be safe in a $6 million mansion. Or I guess I won't go there.
Did you say let's be? I will take you with me. Yeah, to move them out. Okay, here we go. I would bring you some, but relaxing in my own home. Oh, Valerie, you're awesome. That's our local business owner. I think that's.
Hey, finish your statement. Relaxing in her pajamas.
So, would you read the next one?
Hello, Joel. From my own personal interaction with the DEIC, all but two think the biggest threat to Estacada is the straight white male. Yeah.
All but two. Wow.
All but two. Yep.
We all heard that at the last meeting. Look at the wall with all those pictures of straight white men.
Yeah. You know what was funny is when that was said, there was a response that was made to that and said, interesting. Because the way I understand it is that the representatives that are in the council, they don't just come barge their way in there and put themselves there. They are elected by the people.
Ooh.
And in order to be elected by the people, you have to choose to run. So, yeah, that someone had mentioned that.
I don't want to go off on a rant, but I think some of our viewers who are commenting right now were there at our last council meeting. Mm-hmm. Which, guys, the way to affect change is to get involved in your city government.
Exactly.
And that's they're here to serve we the people, us. And I have to say this, the most diverse population in the back row who sat actually in that building, the most diverse happened to be of conservative, Republican, all those villainized words background.
Yes, exactly.
It was the most diverse people.
I really challenge our viewers, if they haven't already, go take some time and go back through history and not the history you find on Google. Go find some good sources of history and look back at some of the decisions that were made and how they were made. Especially look around the Civil War and kind of see what parties did what, and it might shock you.
Well, the interesting part is, and I'm going to put this out here, I'm running for city government, and if I don't make it by the people, it doesn't mean the people are racist. It just means the people don't prefer me. It's okay to have a preference.
Exactly. And
Thank you.
Here's the big thing.
Leave it alone.
These days.
Stop yelling racism.
Exactly. It's about the choice of the person and what they're from anywhere from integrity up to
the content of my character.
The content of the character,
yeah. Okay.
the way decisions, and it could just be as simple as something as you have certain plans you'd like to try to implement in this cicada, and it may not line up with the majority of the people.
Oh yes,
and that's okay.
But the people have spoken.
Exactly, it's the people.
Freedom of speech.
It's not one person making decisions. It's not 5 people making decisions.
Thank you.
The majority. If you win, because you got the majority of the people to vote for you.
Yes. So those straight white men that are on the wall, they were elected by the people.
Yes, for the people, by the.
And I don't even know if they're straight or not. I don't go into their sexual history. Maybe they
exactly. That was an assumption again.
You know, make an ass out of you and me.
Exactly, and the person that said that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
that was my soapbox.
More minions. We have more minions. By the way, I would love. I'm ashamed of myself. I didn't prep a video for this one. But I should have thought of this description earlier and worked with you to get a bunch of little minions running around doing little things with like CNN and MSNBC and falling into each other. Anyways,
that's what happens.
I picture that when I hear that.
They're falling into each other,
or
running around,
or flying across.
So MSNBC political analyst, and I can't pronounce his name, but I'm going to spell it out to you so you guys can have this information. ANAND, and I cannot pronounce the last name, but just look up ANAND. That's him. Offered another controversial take on Elon Musk's Twitter purchase on Monday's episode of Raid Out. Okay, he added that Musk claims to want to support free speech. People like him really only want to support the speech of white men. Again, white men really fixated on you. Okay,
on me.
You're a white man, right?
Apparently. I mean, how do you know? I have enough Indian in me that I can actually register legally to be as a Native American, because a quarter. I think a quarter means Native American. Something
Yeah,
like that.
it's funny that you say that though. We judge people by the cover,
Yeah.
and we go, all of a sudden you must be white, but we don't look at really
But you know what's
the
crazy?
deeper picture.
Here's a thought for you.
Mhm.
If you turn everybody inside out, you'd never know the difference between one or the other.
Well, I have another thought for you. I'm visually impaired, and I really don't see color,
Mm-hmm.
and I can say that.
Wait, you're visually impaired?
I know you wouldn't know it by me holding up this to my face.
No. By all means, continue your shame though.
Okay. Elon Musk lives in a world in which, and they said this, in which the only kind of free speech is white men feeling free to say whatever the hell they want. He doesn't understand what a lot of those folks don't understand is speech is actually freer when everybody not only has the opportunity to have an account and able to afford a phone to be able to tweet, but can feel safe. And he says, now after years of working with the company and reducing hate speech and harassment, this person said that that Elon Musk is going to undo that platform's process. Senator Elizabeth Warren said this. You know her. I don't even want to say, but maybe I can. She looks like the Crypt Keeper. Anyways, Senator Elizabeth Warren said, I want Twitter to do well. I just have no faith that under Elon Musk, that Twitter would continue to be a place where women, people of color, or LGBT people could use it at all, she said. Yeah, I heard a producer say what? Yeah, read it, guys. Read it.
Wow.
I have more, but is there any people commenting on?
We do got a couple things here. It says that BLM only cares about money, control, and destroying anything they come across.
Yes.
And someone else said this one just for you. It says, you nailed it, Tony.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Do you know specifically you nailed?
If I'm nailing anything, I better watch my fingers. That's all I have to say. But thank you for the vote of confidence there. And then here's one. Look at the demographic of Estacada and how many minorities actually want to get involved in how things work in local government. I know of one. The rest are white people. Go get them, Tony. Woohoo!
Woo!
Wow.
You're right. Woo!
Woo! Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this really fast. I love what you said. Joel, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm running on the fact that I love this community and I love the people in this community. I'm visually impaired and I will always struggle with those types of things, but I'm also an overcomer. And so I'm going to be coming from the platform of overcoming a physical disability. I don't think my color is a disability. I never did. So
damn straight.
You don't owe me anything.
So, but you know what? In order to get and to make it in there, and to really make a change, sometimes you really have to kind of dive deep into what's really there.
Yeah.
And I know when I dive deep, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because I see what's happening around us in our country, and I'm a patriot.
Yeah.
And I have a specific way that I mean.
You can hear that, right?
This country was founded by patriots.
Yeah.
They stood against a government that if they hadn't succeeded, not only would America not be here, but they would have been disboweled, burned at the stake, and a whole bunch of other bad things happened to them. They put their lives on the line. That's a patriotism. Put their lives on the line, and their families' probably lives on the line, and their futures, in order to set the stage for others. Because they were pissed off. They were pissed off patriots about the things that were happening across the way. So what better? Because pissed off patriotism goes all the way back to the founding of this country. And even further, if you look back throughout the history, it takes pissed off patriots in order to make a change. So, but pissed off patriots don't just sit there quietly and get things done. They have to really let people know that they're there and to make those changes. So what better way than to say you're a pissed off patriot than wear something on your chest that says pissed off patriot in big ass letters? And wear hats and gloves and
you mean you're not going to burn stuff down? You're just going to put it on your...
Exactly. You don't burn stuff down. You don't make changes by burning things down. You make changes by making stands and by letting it known. And you're going to start real simple by saying where you stand in big old letters. And then when people ask you about it, you can tell them what you have to say about it.
Right.
But so we have something right there we've created, and we're working on a lot more. So keep checking back, but take a quick look at what we got, and then see what's coming after that.
Talking about
there we
Elon
are. We're back
Musk.
now.
Oh, hey guys! We don't have our screen here, so we're just going off of whatever. Our fine, awesome producer is keeping us on track blindly.
I gotta get that screen
and
fixed.
good. I hear you about that. But
I've been spoiled.
as you're telling our viewers what we're talking about, I want to go back. We just saw the Pissed Off Patriot line. I was thinking about Elon Musk a little bit. Being pissed off is an emotion. But sometimes emotions don't have to drive you to destruction. Exactly. It can actually drive and motivate you to create.
Exactly.
And that's what he's doing.
Exactly. He's definitely he's creating, and he's trying. When Elon was talking about to take over Twitter, he wasn't just talking about to buy it and open it up. He says, I'm going to come in, I'm going to make some changes, but I'm going to make some changes for the better, and I have some additional things to do, like to bring some cool new features in and things. So some of the things he talked about were he wanted to make sure that the whole censorship thing just kind of goes kaput. He wants to take the algorithms that they've been using and make them open source. So basically everybody knows how that part of Twitter works, and they can see if they're being censored by something or not. And the thing is, if it's open like that, it means it's not going to happen. The censoring ships is going to go away, and if they see that they're being kicked off, they're deplatformed or something, it's because what they've done. They can actually see what's going on there, and not have any question of going, oh, did someone didn't like it or what? I mean, the answers are going to be there because you can see what content they violated or something.
Speaking of transparency, is kind of what you're talking about. Isn't there an algorithm? I don't understand all of the techie stuff. You do. I know this is what you do. But Elon is offering transparency in, if you're going to put something out there, you're going to also put your face out there that brands you to that statement.
Exactly.
There's no hiding behind.
Exactly. It's completely transparent, and I think he's going to try to. He's mentioned, and there's been some talk about it, about possibly putting what has been the previous stuff that they were using for there, and kind of exposing if there has been censorship, and what sure has been, but to expose how the censorship worked and who was being censored and all that. Basically, I think he was just going to basically put that out there so people say, hey, we want people to understand and have the trust regained in Twitter. So the only way to get that trust back into that platform is by being honest and open about it, saying, yes, this was happening. Here's the stuff, and here's how it happened. But that's not going to happen anymore, because here's how we change things, and here's openly how everything works as far as those algorithms that it's run by. When people do have their text, their content pulled down, they're going to have a reason for it.
So speaking of that content pulled down, there's going to be a reason for it. He's not saying, and a lot of the hard left are saying, oh, there's no holds barred on speech. There's going to be no consequences. You can say what you want to say. You could do what you want to do, but there's no consequences. At least they're trying to frame it that way.
Yeah, but he did say
He did. I have it here.
As long as it falls with the law. I mean, you have the words. Read the words.
I knew you were going to say that to me. I'm trying to find them.
Oh, you said you had it.
I have it, and I'm going to find it. But, well, okay, here it is. Musk said that he wants Twitter to adhere more closely to the principles of free speech. Yes, we know that. The bedrock of the functioning of democracy, digital town square. We read that. Where matters of vital to the future of humanity in debate. We know that. Musk could potentially reinstate the account of former president. We know that.
He doesn't want it, though.
Huh?
He said no to it, though.
But he did say no to it. So is that a fact check?
That's his choice.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so he is also thought to be less likely to ban people for violations of platforms' policies, which themselves may change. And then I have more, but let me find. Why don't you keep talking? Because I'm going to find that because I said it was in here.
Well, I'll give a summary of it, and then when you find it, you can give the exact
Yeah.
words. Basically, he said if you're violating the law, like you're threatening people or you're putting pornography and things like that. I think is some of the words he used.
Yes.
That you're obviously going to get booted, probably off the platform altogether. But that's what's going to pull your content down. But saying you don't like, you think Biden's a moron, like we do, is not going to get you deplatformed or demonetized or anything else like that comes through Twitter. That's not what they're about. He's also talked about trying to take it a different route a little bit. He wants to validate the human aspect, get rid of the bots. He wants to make sure that every account is an actual person.
Yes.
And not
not
the spare extras accounts and things like that. So that way people are actually being held accountable to a point of what they say. So, there's going to be like a blue check mark or something. Just talk about a check mark, something along those lines that basically says this person is a validated person. And I think he's also been toying with the idea of also making like a paid version where like maybe you get longer tweets and some other features or something. I don't know what that would be, but that'll help to monetize part of the platform is to make a paid version versus a like a subscription version versus like a free version. So there's those options, and then of course you got your advertisers and things that are on there as well. He also talked about some new features and things he was getting on there, and he didn't really go into details on those that I saw.
Okay, keep on talking, brother, because I'm going to find that.
Talking here.
So you're saying some good stuff here.
But yeah, these are just some things that he was talking about. He did say, that he's probably going to be review or have the account, a lot of accounts that were turned off reviewed, or people are welcome to come back in and redo their accounts. And that basically the whole point of what they were doing is he just wants to cut all that out. But I think that the key thing that he wanted to make the biggest point of is that censorship is going to be gone, and and that the algorithms and there'll be transparency, basically.
Yeah.
Transparency.
Viewers, I got ahead of my skis, but actually what Broski was saying here, you can actually find, because I do remember in my research looking that up specifically. So
yeah, and I may have grabbed a piece of it too. So
he might have actually stole my notes, but
that's why it's not in here. Notes
Oops,
keep them there.
It's gone.
So
it's been censored.
Here, let's actually give a quick timeline. I actually pull the timeline of the whole saga. I want
yes,
to do that quick.
And I want to talk a little bit about what are the boundaries of uncensored speech.
Okay. So there's about 18 different things on here. So I'm going to do a quick synopsis of the timeline so people understand.
Did you say synapse?
Synopsis.
Okay.
U.S. regulators had U.S. regulators said someone should really monitor Elon Musk tweets before Musk even placed a bid for Twitter. SEC regulators said that they have the authority to subpoena the Tesla CEO in his tweets, and even urged a federal judge not to let the executive get away with tweeting with abandon. Elon Musk tweets that he's giving serious thought to building his own social media platform. And then it progresses to where he buys a 9.2% share of Twitter on April 4th. And of course, which we all know he got rid of. Then in a major reversal, Elon Musk no longer will be joining Twitter's board, announced April 10th. Then a Twitter shareholder sues after Musk fails to promptly disclose his huge investment in Twitter. Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter, the whole company, for $43 billion on April 14th. Elon Musk breaks down how he'd fund his $43 billion for Twitter. That's the next step. Then Twitter said to be close to a deal with Elon Musk on April 25th. Twitter accepts Elon Musk's bid for an acquisition offer. Elon Musk will have to pay Twitter $1 billion termination fee if he doesn't go through with his $44 billion acquisition of the social network, announced on Monday, per a new SEC filing. The filing, which details the terms of the agreement, indicates Twitter would have to pay the same fee under specific circumstances. On the 14th, the next one on there, Twitter is protecting its source code from disgruntled employees. Reports say Twitter locked down its source code to prevent unauthorized changes. Sources familiar with the matter told Bloomberg. The reports say that this change was made to prevent employees from going rogue and sabotaging the platform after Elon Musk's $44 billion purchase of the company. Currently, a vice president must approve any changes. which is smart. Um, and if Elon's Twitter now, but of course at the same time, if it's locked down, I mean, there's some questions of what may happen with that code. If Elon's Twitter now, it's Elon's Twitter now. So what's next? Elon, Enterprise reporter Ron Miller outlined the possible outcomes of the next deal, which basically that's just part of the statement, which we've kind of talked about. So
That's a good breakdown. And you can find that. Actually, I looked at that breakdown last night as well.
Yep.
I see a couple of local comments here. And actually, one is actually a show idea possibly for next week I was talking to Joel about. But can I read it now?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll just do that. A little bit of local news, y'all. So says, hey, this white woman, by the way, this is not it, but hey, this white woman wants to say whatever the hell. Well, she didn't say that. I just like that word. But that was how she wants to. I love that. You go, girl. You can. Yeah. You can. This is an interesting one because we were talking about this. It says, can you guys teach the stuff at City Hall?
Teach the staff.
Oh, I'm sorry. Teach the staff at City Hall what the term "Don't Portlandize Cicada" means. And I'll go back to that. I thought it was a simple concept, but I guess not. Actually, it's really funny because I think it's who it is. I saw on Facebook, which is a great platform, by the way. I mean this without the censorship, but it would be a great platform to use for things like this. This person put out a question about a term that we use here in our small town called "Don't Portland," big city, our small town, Estacada. And she asked what that meant to the people of Estacada. And I went down all the answers, and I thought they were really spot on good.
Yeah, and I know that we were talking earlier about possibly making that a show.
Like a local show. But we were going to brand it or make it a bigger shot.
Well, yeah, because
it's a small town.
Well, we're talking about Estacada, Don't Portland Estacada. The concept behind that still stands. That as far as basically don't bring the outside ideas that don't fit with the culture of our small town.
It's almost like don't woke Disney.
Yeah, Disney. If you you haven't heard anything from Disney in a while.
They're still trying to regroup. No, it's almost that same concept. There's a lot of small towns in America still. There's a whole lot of middle America that have that same fear that big cities will come and impose big city ideals onto their small town. And what people like to think is, well, they're just hicks. They don't understand progressivism. Well, maybe we do understand progressivism to know that we don't want it.
Exactly.
In that way.
And exactly. And the thing is, it's funny how hypocritical sometimes those people can be too. I mean, it's when people have thoughts about, oh, they don't understand or they don't this or whatever, and they look at us quote unquote hicks out here.
Yeah,
I keep bumping this stupid thing.
Yeah, people go, "Oh, you from Estacada? How are you really doing down there?" I'm like, "What are you really trying to get at?"
Exactly. it's like, man, you just don't they don't get how hypocritical they could be on that.
Yeah.
Let's look at something else someone said. So yeah, I think next week that might be our subject, guys. So if you're interested to see that,
that's a foretelling of what we were actually talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing. So if you're from a small town, you want to. Yeah. If you're from a small town in America, rural America, you're going to want to tune in on this one. Because I'm sure you're going to have the same conversation.
Exactly. We want to hear your opinions. And, we're going to put I think maybe we'll put up something ahead of time to try to get people's input as well.
Yeah.
We'll take what we already seen out there, but maybe we'll ask a few questions to try to get those in ahead of time and put that part of the show.
I wish I can call out this person's name who put that excellent question out there on Facebook.
Yeah.
But you know who you are. That you can put it out if you want to, but you rock. Because that really, I wish when I gave a talk at the city council, I wish I had that information to actually lay out what that means, what that looks like.
Exactly. And like I said, I think because we're not to just Portland or Estacada, I think we're going to take the concept of it.
Yep.
We can ask some more open-ended questions
broader,
on that.
Broader picture.
Yep. Someone said here, hell, I'm still trying to figure out how many quote-unquote policies and ordinances that Estacada has been sued over. I don't think that Estacada needs a committee to tell the council to make things fair.
Y'all,
we're going real local right now, guys.
We're going local, y'all. You're going local. Tony, you're visually impaired. Just allows you to be able to see things in a way that people might miss. So in this way, it's also an advantage.
There you go. That's good. That's good.
You'll make me cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with With as fast as CNN is imploding, Elon Musk should pick up that yard sale price of $1.99. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, CNN Plus literally opened, like they launched CNN
and then
Plus
closed.
and then shut it down within less than 30 days. It was that bad.
You know, the funny thing is you're supposed to allow 6 weeks at least. That was a month. They were like, that was a mistake.
Yeah, they opened it up, and when they got their 5 viewers that came in, they're like, okay,
You know what?
where's the rest of them?
You know what? That's almost like you put up that one Facebook post or that tweet that you really like knew you fucked up on, and you're like, oh, I'm about to take it down because I'm getting the backlash of it. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I hit this. I'm sorry. But
George. But yeah, so it's like, you said they had like 61. Was it CNBC or CNN that had the 61 million followers on Twitter?
CNN.
60,
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought, and
numbers sound quite
I would place my wager on there that most of those people are following just to see when it implodes. They're waiting for the big explosion.
Or they aren't people at all.
Oh, they aren't.
There you go.
Job, producer. Yes.
The voice in my head tells me.
You got to read the next one. There's one more. I got to.
Disney have always been woke. It is simple. Just don't turn our small town into a third world country. Portland. Yeah, Portland is a third world country.
Yeah.
It's funny how we can have pockets of.
But it's more nuanced than that. It's not just third world. There's a thought process behind it. There's
exactly and
values behind it.
The third world was what it became when they but some of those ideals put them that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the ideals, not just the third world country piece. But for example, you don't need to be teaching our children at ages kindergarten, first, second, third about sex in schools. You don't need things like that.
No.
Get that shit out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went to school, I learned about that in 6th grade, and it was separate the boys and girls. You learn exactly what you have to learn, and nothing else, and then boom, you move on. It's a physical biology, and that was different. That was it. And then you moved on from there. Nowadays, they're trying to check so much shit.
Well, a lot of times you find that thinking of slow down, teach age-appropriate material, you tend to find that in a smaller town. That thought process, because it's still there, reading, writing, but in an area that might be socially diverse, it's like we got to stay up with the times.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I hold the monopoly on that, but
this cracks me up. By the way, I guess CNN Plus turned into minus negative.
CNN drove the wrong way down the one-way street with the CNN Plus LOL. I think I know who's making these because she is sharp. She is sharp. That's all I have to say.
Oh no! Okay. One person or more or not, it's still hilarious.
Yeah, that's hilarious, brother. There's another topic I want to bring up. And it says, where do the boundaries of uncensored speech? I'm sorry. Let me read that again. Where are the boundaries of uncensored speech? Because I couldn't think of this segment without saying, small towns also, we have our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
We have our boundaries. We want wholesome, we want good, solid, and we moved here because we want boundaries.
Well, yeah, and you never tip a cow downhill.
Well, I never tipped a cow, but if you see me tipping cows, you better make sure I'm on the right side.
You know why?
Because I don't want to get run over.
I'm saying you don't why you don't tip a cow downhill, right?
Why?
Because at first you hear moo thump, moo thump, moo thump. Eventually you hear thump, thump, thump.
Let's take a moment of silence. Okay, so this is it. This is, in some cases, the ease of online speech has allowed it to step far beyond the bounds of free speech. Online bullying or threats, and this is, when I read this, I thought of campfire discussions. But online bullying, just a plug for that, online bullying or threats, or a sharing of extremist content or child pornography. These forms of expressions are not protected speech. And then it goes on to say regulating online speech is complicated. It is. And it says, but if we leave it up to the social media companies and their algorithms, our free speech and thus our democracy will suffer. And then it goes on to say they should use a fraction of their profits to create a complaint system where you can always request human reviews of a decision to filter content and if necessary, you know all about this, anyone who should be able to go to a judge and have their cases heard.
Yeah, but the one big thing about that filter person is you have to be very careful who you select there, because it's really easy for someone to go, "Oh, well, I don't like that." And
Well, it is. People have biases.
exactly, and and that's the natural of human. Everybody's gonna have a bias because it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
So
So
I have
there's
a bias towards tomatoes, mushrooms, and raw onions.
Yeah, but how do we address those issues like bullying, for people that like to say that, oh, Tony, I'm a counselor, and so being not a city counselor, but a counselor, I see people who are deal with kids who are bullied online. I deal with kids who, and a lot of, I see the effects of social media on our kids.
Well, to be honest, it really comes down to one word that is how you deal with it. It's accountability. Accountability for your actions.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Hmm?
If you teach a child from the wound,
The wound.
did I say wound?
Yeah,
Wound.
the
Wound. Wound.
Womb.
Womb. When I say wound, if you teach a child from the wound, they will remember it to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
How to basically regulate themselves, filter. It's time to teach our kids filter instead of having it filtered for us.
Exactly. Unplug them long enough for them to create their own thoughts and let someone else think it for them.
Yeah, and also let them know if you're going to put it out there. By the way, it's open for public discourse.
Exactly. That's a big thing too. Is if you put something on the internet, you better be damn well ready for whatever comes out of it, whether that's
Lord knows I've been living that.
Negative or positive or whatever else.
Yep.
If you don't want your business out there, then don't put it out there on the internet. And if that means that you say something and someone makes fun of you, that's just part of the job. Part of the reaction or the consequences of putting your information out there.
Yeah. But I want to, but I hear what you're saying. We put stuff out there that's controversial, and you're welcome to be in opposition of that. And even if you're disrespectful, that's your freedom of speech.
Exactly. I have a volume button. It goes down.
I don't have to watch it. I can delete, click, whatever. I have that freedom to do that. But I cannot censor you and your opinion.
Exactly. It's freedom of speech is it comes in both sides.
It does.
It's being able to see what you want, being able to be willing to take the other side of it too when someone's going to respond to saying what you want. You could say, "Hey, Tony, that do-rag is
it's not a do-rag. You need to actually...
I don't know what it is.
You need to get this straight. This is a beanie.
A beanie, okay.
It's not do-rag.
Whatever, I don't know what it is.
That's what you get because you live in a small town. If you lived in a big city, you wouldn't know what this is.
that whatever you're wearing on your head looks
It's a do-rag.
I'm just saying, I could say something like that, and then you could say exactly what you did.
I would say go to hell.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Or you say, "Hey, you're wrong. It's not a do-rag. It's a beanie."
And I accept the fact that you're wrong.
Exactly. And I accept the fact is that you can be wrong about being wrong.
But discussions like that and be wrong and feel free to be wrong. When you start censoring stuff, we lose the ability to have a healthy discourse.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm okay with the fact that you don't always agree with me. Mm. You're welcome to be wrong and take it with you.
See, that's... So actually, some people complain that we don't ever get it. We don't ever tussle online because we do that behind the scenes, and then we work it out, and then he realized I'm really smart, and then I get to present that to him. No, actually, we do in our private conversations.
I just steal his notes.
Well, we're not a monolith, and that's what people have to know too about Black people. We're not monoliths, by the way. Meaning, we don't all think the same. There are Black Republicans. There are Black Democrats.
Don't use more than 2 syllables on the show.
Just a rant session for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Just a rant session. This might stir up some shit, but here's a rant session. I have gotten more pushback about my conservative beliefs or my beliefs I say conservative. My conservative beliefs from my brothers and sisters who happen to be white. Or of the Democratic Party calling me out to be an Uncle Tom, or I'm out of touch with the Black community. So Candace Owen gets it too. Yeah, and so part of me is like, what is the cognitive dissonance there? I'm Black, but I don't think for all Black people, and I don't represent all Black people. But I will tell you this: I hope to represent the Black conservative. who would say, "Hey, these are my beliefs," and be able to not have them minimized because I'm not the right color saying it.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Like I said, any.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Well, yeah, and like I said, any conversation that starts with a color in there and then usually already loses
Yeah.
credibility. And so
If I haven't faced discrimination, I haven't
Exactly.
faced discrimination.
Exactly, but it shouldn't take the fact is that if they're white, brown, black, doesn't matter what color that they're.
I think Sarah was saying you should have either you have your head in the sand, or because you're that color, you should have had that experience. We don't understand why you're denying that.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that they're trying to dictate your experiences from you just because it's what they believe, and that's where they can't.
And
they
therefore
can't
you
accept the
get
fact that they're-
censored.
Yeah, they can't accept the fact that they're wrong.
Right. And going back to this whole thing about white straight male. These are white straight women possibly, or other white women calling the white straight male offensive. You know that?
Yeah. A lot of people calling the white straight male offensive these days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely.
I know I'm taking this in a whole different direction.
Well, I'm saying, I think it's.
But we're talking about censored.
Yeah, exactly. I think.
How dare you?
Yeah, take it to a whole different conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not really different because that's what they're
This is a
saying.
conversation that was, if it was on Twitter,
yeah,
it probably would have been dropped at some point by somebody, would have been kicked off at some point by this now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is sad. But that's going to change, right?
Damn straight it's going to change.
Yeah. Change is coming. He didn't. I think I caught him off guard, you guys.
I'm just thinking we only got a couple minutes left.
He goes, "That doesn't fit our notes. We have notes."
Notes? No. I'm saying we're actually towards the end of the conversation, and I'm just trying to round us into it. That end of the conversation. That's all.
Maybe I'm just not done.
And you're like opening up a long-term conversation.
I know. But these actually conversations we do have.
We do have them, but people usually expect this to be done right now, and so I'm going to bring us to the end of our session here.
Absolutely.
But I think I want to make sure that we get a chance to finish that conversation. So you guys stay tuned. We may have a breakout session sometime in the near future to finish that, because it's a good conversation to have. I mean, he's got a good point. And I don't want to leave his rant without a response.
He called it a rant.
You called it a rant first. You said rant session.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did. I'm innocent.
I'm sorry. I'm just giving you a hard time. I love you guys. This is fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so we should definitely have a random breakout session on that, or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah. Well, it took me about 1.5 years to actually have a breakout session. So there you go. I broke out.
That's the. She's asleep back there.
Okay.
Every person has the right to own their own opinion, even if they are wrong.
Yeah. Tony, go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
Oh, Tony, anybody that calls you an Uncle Tom is your friend. Not okay. It's not your friend. Not okay.
Yes, but what if I call you an Uncle Tony?
You can call me an Uncle Tony because I actually am an Uncle Tony.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Especially because they mean it negatively, because they never read the book to see that Uncle Tom is a good guy.
Ha ha. I'll let it in.
You know, guys, it has been a great conversation today. We've talked a lot about Elon
We love
Musk.
you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys have gave us a lot of good comments today. Yeah. And we talked a lot about Elon Musk and his point behind it, but the big thing that we really brought up was his not only the point, but the thing behind the whole reason for all to go that way was freedom of speech and coming against censorship. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about since we were talking about the key question was, can Elon save Twitter? And we went over the kind of a short background where he came from and how he is the richest man in the world is African American. What kind of what led up to buying Twitter and some of those key pieces there. We talked a little bit about the anti-Elon minions running around.
There are plenty of them. Look them up.
Exactly. And
they say the same thing, though. We
kind of went over what his plans were for Twitter, and then we kind of rounded out to our own little talk about freedom of speech.
But also, is there, how when to our freedom of speech, is there any limitations, or how do you keep that a place that keeps child pornography away and sorts of bullying? So those are conversations
exactly
that I'm sure Elon is having.
Yeah, and I mean he's got a challenge ahead of him to understand where to draw the line. I mean it's
Yeah.
pretty clear if it's illegal, then you get rid of it. I mean that's a pretty clear one, but there might be some other areas that he's got to figure out as well.
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to set those properties to do as little censorship as possible and tell people to just grow up or don't get off the platform. That's pretty much where
There
he's
you
going
go.
to sit on. So
There you go.
but yeah, we've spoke about a lot tonight, and it's been a great show. We really appreciate you guys' input, and don't forget tomorrow is campfire discussions with Brandy,
Yes.
and she's got some good stuff. She's always talking about
Oh
stuff on there,
my goodness.
and she gets heated in her stuff. And
Yes.
when you guys are there providing the content, like when I say content, I mean like the feedbacks and the comments and things. Last week we had some technical difficulties, but we're gonna make sure that's good to go for tomorrow. But those comments really drive that conversation, and you guys you suck each other into it
Yeah.
a lot. So please join tomorrow, listen to what she has to say, and then really get into that conversation.
Yeah.
Plus, you might be able to see some cool stuff she's working on.
It's from this conversation we had today that what we had planned for next week was almost validated.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need your comments.
Your
comments drive our conversation.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it could
to a deeper level.
Exactly. I mean, it's we can only plan so much in our own conversation, but we don't have all the points of views everybody else does.
Yeah.
And they bring that to us.
Isn't that cool about freedom of speech?
Exactly.
It just blows the conversation up.
Exactly.
Makes it richer.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us. We will be here next week at the same time, but we are also pushing stuff out. Oh, a quick note. We usually put out the BS project yesterday, but we had some pretty bad corrupted filming from when our previous filming session was. Yes.
Can I say something though?
Yes.
Because of that, you guys, we did have some pretty corrupted, but we also had some instruments and some things that we go out on the road using that may not be up or that may need upgrades. And so I want to thank you sponsors who give on a monthly basis to allow us to maybe up our game and making sure that information is clear and put out there for people to consume. So
exactly, especially those who, we also depend on you guys to watch to just simply please stop by our website. Go if it's something small, anything really does help to buy something off our merchandise. It's something you can sport around. We got some stuff coming on there. If you guys have ideas for merchandise, by all means, give us to us. We'll create it for you.
You did it. You hate people asking people for stuff. He does. He doesn't like asking.
Yeah,
oh my!
I hate that portion of it, but yeah, but those purchases help really pay. I mean, this is not a cheap thing to put on, buy new equipment and to put it up there. So every little purchase does help to get there. And then we are diligently working as fast as we can on getting our some really good stuff prepped for the Patreon. We have the Patreon capabilities, but that's we're going to be really pushing that once we get all that stuff on there. And trust me, you guys are going to want to see that. That's all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
And we've got a lot of good stuff out there.
Christine Drazen.
Yes, we got lots of good
Jesse
stuff.
Lee.
Okay. Yeah, I think we even got Christine Drazen singing.
I think Christine Drazen did sing.
Yeah.
Her debate was yesterday. Yesterday.
Yep. But so we got all that. That's going to be on the and we got some pretty good prices for that too, compared to some of the Patreon stuff out there.
Wow.
So, but yeah, please take a look at all that because it really helps us to get the equipment we need, and so we can continue to improve our service and even get to the point where we're working really hard at getting to the point where we can actually take call-ins.
Absolutely, we hope to take call-ins.
Yep,
definitely.
From not only just our viewers,
so they can hear their voice. And
exactly.
We can hear their voice.
Yes, exactly.
And if you could say anything you want, you might just get the mute button occasionally. No, just joking.
That's going to be a big red button we can hit.
Red button. He wants to mute me sometimes, like now. So go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks you guys so much. Join us next week. Check us out pretty much every day of the week. We have something from breaking news on Monday. Fridays is the ridiculous. We have our shows Wednesdays and Thursdays. They're live, and then every other Tuesday usually we pop out the BS project. So
something almost every day.
Yep, pretty much every day, and we're gonna keep working to keep bringing more and more stuff out there. Thanks you guys so much. We will see you guys next time, and take care.
Love you guys.
Bye.